Good Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome into the Scoreboard Show. As usual, we will talk about every game that happened in our coverage area, at least for a little bit, and have some highlights for you as well. Coffee crew on duty this morning with Scott, Cam, and Joe. And guys, week 2, some interesting results came out of these games, the 55 that we've got to talk about this morning. So let's discuss that for a moment before we dive in scores.
Week 2 madness.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
when we rebound from week 1, we
Week,
sideswiped with week 2. So
week 2 is there to humble you. It's there to let you know exactly, how much this is an unpredictable and how each game matters type of education. Just when you think you have a handle on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, week 2 is like one of those things. We find out more about teams in week 2 than we do in week 1, but then again, it kind of doesn't reinforce what we thought from week 1. So certainly some interesting things to talk about. And we're going to start with highlights of something, Joe, from Thursday night with Lipscomb facing Thompson, Alabama, who was out for blood after what happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, and Thompson starts off here. Michael Dewan, the first of his 3 touchdowns on the night to get the Warriors on the board. Second one here, just a little dump off pass to him. He had a monster night, but Tav Schaefer here gets the Mustangs going with a beautiful pass to Cam Blivens. Makes it a 14-7 game. Thompson would return the ensuing kickoff for 6, and then they'd score here to really go up, but Lipscomb would not go away, guys. I mean, they were really impressive. Just marching down the field. I still need to know what happened in that first game because they looked much better here, but Dewan closes it out here. Really tough run for the first down. Lets Thompson run out the clock.
And Thompson wins that one 27-21 and sends Lipscomb Academy to 0-2. Now, the Mustangs are not eligible for the playoffs, so there's no real consequence of playoff positioning with that loss, but it's not great for the Mustangs to start off 0-2, especially in games that ended up close.
No. You could just tell that I really need to know what happened week 1 with Lipscomb because this Thompson team is nationally ranked. They got a couple of Auburn commits, highly ranked Auburn commits. Jared Smith on the line, a 5-star defensive edge. I'm outside of a couple plays, they kept him in check. Lipscomb Academy threw Chauncey Gooden on at the defensive line as well to replace Tony Carter, who was out with an injury. Chauncey looked good. Lipscomb Academy's defense is the real deal. You take away one busted run that Dewan had and a kickoff return. Those are the 2 plays that decided this game. Simply, I mean, that's essentially what it came down to.
And that's something I think they can lean on for next week into region play because that defense they kept Thompson in check. It's not a bad unit at all by any means.
No, CJ Jim Colley looked really good in this game.
Yeah. I tell you, I think week 1, the more you look at, the more I think it was probably nerves, jitters, just like anything else coming out of the gate. Chauncey Gooden absolutely ate that quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, on that one sack. I never felt so sorry for somebody in my life.
All right, that's the Thursday. That was the only Thursday game we had around here, so we'll dive into the Friday scores. And one of those we thought might be pretty high scoring turned out to be that way. Antioch held off a furious Nolensville rally in the last minute, 36-33. And we talked about Antioch's defense last week. It kind of maybe took a step back this week a little bit, Joe.
Yeah, I think Nolensville's offense is better than what we thought. What I thought, definitely. I'll eat crow on that. Antioch finds another way to win, though, and that's something they didn't do last year. They lost to Lebanon. They lost in blowout fashion to Nolensville. I think the Bears are legit. I think Nolensville is better than a lot of us thought, too. I mean, this is a team that can finish top 3 in that region. Don't think they finished number 1 because we'll talk about that team later. But Nolensville, much better at home, raucous atmosphere. Honestly, I would have loved to have been at this game, but it was the defense that won this game in the end for Antioch. They got that 4th down stop, and the Bears moved to 2-0 for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, since 2012, 12 years ago, and both wins coming on the road too. Let's make that point because No, that's two strong wins on the road.
And what makes the reason why we're so high on Antioch here early on in the season is because of what Joe just said. Last week, their defense got consecutive stops in a row to be able to win the game. This week, offensively, they put up enough points to win the football game. They can do it both ways.
Yeah, the defense
Yeah, I
did get
think
a late stop on Nolensville too.
Yeah, I think it's great for Antioch to have overcome adversity and know what it's like to win a game like this. This is a game they would have lost in the past, and I think that this is a great teaching lesson for a team that's big on talent.
Yep.
Joe Burns into the win column with a 38-20 win over Kentucky's Ballard Memorial. Red Devils now 1-1 as they hit region play next week.
Yeah, I apologize for that misspelling there.
BGA scored 68 in week 1. They scored 69 in week 2. And a very nice start for the Wildcats, off to 2-0.
Yeah, Cade
man.
Marable went off for 7 touchdowns in this game, 319 yards passing. Yeah, it was just it seems somewhat unfair. This team could very well wind up averaging over 50 points a game at this clip.
I want to see if they can put 70 on the board for Joe and Chris next week. That's what I want to see.
Oh, I won't be there. Chris will be there though.
Yeah, I'm fully prepared for that. And we'll talk about their opponent here in just a minute too.
Choose.
Big win for Brentwood Academy though, 16-6 over Brentwood. The Eagles bounce back from their loss at CPA and get to 1-1 for Paul Wade's first win as the Eagles head coach.
Yeah, obviously you want a little more offensive production if you're a BA fan, but the fact that you held Brentwood to 6 points, you didn't even come close to holding anybody to 6 points last year. So that's a massive step forward for this Eagles defense. Brentwood, still a really good team. I still think they finished second or third in their region, but that's a good win for BA and to get some revenge for what happened last year.
Huge night for Luke Robeson, who had the only TD in the game. He had a touchdown-saving interception in the end zone where he jumped a route, and then he recovered the fumble that clinched the game. Huge night for him and for kickers on both sides, actually.
I know that warms Joe's heart when you say that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Joe, more highlights coming. Let's go to Procon.
Yeah, Procon, CPA, Hudson Chance here with a huge 4th down conversion to Owen Cable. Sets up what would be an easy run here for Ross Patterson. First of 2 on the night for him. Didn't look like he got it there, but it was close. CPA's defense really came out to play here. Or the first 3.5 quarters, Ross Patterson again here. Easy touchdown run makes it 14-0 CPA. And 3rd down and long, Hudson Chance got hurt in this game last year. He makes the most of these plays, man. He looked really good last night. He connects with Knox McLean there. Knox McLean had a huge night for the Lions. Couple really big receptions here. And then this pass would ultimately lead to a Dylan Reed touchdown. Thinking this game's over. CPA is up 21-0, but not so fast. Procon. The Firebirds do not go away. They get on the board here with just under 2 minutes remaining. They recover the onside kick. Makes things really interesting, and probably, in my opinion, the catch of the night here by Steven Salter makes it 21-15. CPA recovers the next onside kick, and they're able to run out the clock. So, little closer of a game than it was a 1-possession game. CPA led this game by 21 points for about 46 minutes,
Probably.
and then Procon got on the board. So.
And it appeared that Procon actually did recover that second onside kick, but the officials were otherwise.
Yeah, controversial call there. I thought CPA jumped on it, and then once they came out of the pile, Pearl had the ball, but it is what it is. Pearl falls to 0-2, but 2 losses to pretty good teams. CPA wasn't sure where they would be at this point in the season. I was wondering maybe 1-1, 0-2. They're 2-0, and boys, they look really good.
Yeah, and not just the pound and ground CPA team we're used to seeing. That air element has added another scare element in their game as well. Mm-hmm. So Procon, 2 losses by 7 points, but now they get into region play and they get a chance to right some things and right that ship. So certainly we'll see both of those teams down the line again. Let's keep on going with some more scores. Clarksville blew Springfield out last year, not so much this time. 10-3 Wildcats get the win this time.
It was a defensive battle. It was mistakes. But it illuminated two things. Clarksville has still got some work to do if they're going to make it out of the first round this year. Springfield's defense stood up. It was a controversial pitch that actually led to the score. I believe that Coach Wilson actually was arguing there was a forward pass and not a pitch. But either way, Jack Stein took it down the sidelines for about 60 yards. It was the difference. Springfield used up their timeouts early. They fumbled a snap. They were on the 40 driving, and they could not stop the clock and get the ball set. It was just that close of a game. But the Springfield's defense played very, very well.
Springfield falls to 1-1. Clarksville now 2-0 with that win. Westmoreland gets their first win of the year. They hold off Clay County in home 17-14, and the Eagles now head into region play with a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, and Westmoreland definitely appears to be what Westmoreland normally is. They're going to be in a lot of low-scoring games, tight games. How many of them are they going to be able to win this year?
Speaking of low-scoring games, we had one at Beach as well. Didn't go the Buccaneers' way. They fall 12-10 to Collierville.
Yeah, Collierville comes to town. They get up early. Beach is playing from behind most of the game, but Beach's offense, we'll have to see if they can get going. Another tough test next week against a really good Riverdale team. But defensively, to hold Collierville to 12 points, it's nothing to hang your hats about. But not a lot of time for Beach to try to turn things around.
These highlights are yours in just a second, but we'll let Scott finish. Sorry.
No. I was just saying that my understanding is that Beach had their chances, just could not finish out some drives. But this is like you said, this is it's not the result you wanted, but the defense really did a good job this time.
All right, over to Friendship Christian, a rematch of a playoff game from last season. Cam, you and I were there for that playoff game last year, but this time it was all yours.
Yeah, second play of the game, Mitchell Carey's pass intercepted by Sammy Pruno. He returns it inside the 30-yard line there. Handful of penalties leads to a fourth down and long incomplete pass there. Big run here by King Gardner for DCA. Sets him up inside the 5 where he would finish it off on the very next play. DCA up 7-0 late in the first quarter. After a Friendship Christian punt, on the first play after the punt. They've been running these little hitch routes, and Grayson Scragg hits a hitch and go across the middle, and he is gone from 80 yards out. Friendship would have a illegal substitution on the extra point try. DCA went for 2 and got it. They were up 15-0 midway through the second, and then they decided to play Who Wants to Football. This is on back-to-back plays. DCA fumbles to Friendship. Friendship fumbles it right back to DCA. But yeah, this was a bend but don't break performance by DCA's defense. This last play of the game here, intercepted. DCA wins 15-0. But just a back and forth contest. Both defenses kind of bent but didn't break all night. But DCA's defense really impressed me with the amount of times that they were able to stop the run up the middle. Friendship they were able to have some success running off the edge with Corlando Barton, but between the tackles, they held up very well, which was very surprising considering the size difference.
We talked before the show about what we thought DCA might be as far as a state contender. Does this kind of enhance their chances, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they've proven that they're a lot better up front. Having a guy like Carson Sneed to take some pressure off. I think Grayson Scragg got hurt last year, if I'm not mistaken. But they kind of got a two-headed monster there. And then King Gardner, he had to be close to 100 yards last night running the football. So DCA is not a one-trick pony, and defensively they are better than they were last year. So I think they definitely got to be considered a threat in D2 1A.
DeKalb County gets off to a 2-0 start. They had a big 35-6 win at Smith County.
Yeah, this game wasn't really all that close. It was a 21-0 lead midway through the third before Smith County got on the board. DeKalb County playing very, very well right now. And Smith, we knew they were going to be young coming this year. They just graduated so much. But yeah, DeKalb a little bit further ahead than I thought they would be at this point. We'll see how if that continues to go.
Well, Deuces Wild in Columbia last night, 22-2. Columbia over Dixon County. Columbia now 2-0 with that win. Dixon County 0-2 with that loss.
That's 100. That's 100% got to be a scoregami, right? I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could look that up, that would be. That's a lot of research, though. I'm not going to ask anybody to do that.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's definitely a fun score, though. 22-2, Columbia over Dixon County.
Yeah.
Fun night for Eagleville. 62-6 for the Eagles over the Vikings.
Yeah, I think they took out some frustrations.
A little bit. Caleb Snitzer had a good night run. He only had 5 carries, but it was for 92 yards, and 3 of the carries were for scores. So, yeah, it was a little catharsis alleviation there, I think.
Yeah. Damian Harris has to feel a little bit better about this week than last week. 50-14 East Nashville over Kenwood. Speaking of taking out frustration, the Eagles did it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not exactly happy with themselves. They gave up 14 to Kenwood, but I mean, much better performance overall than last week. They're just going to keep getting better, guys. I mean, this East Nashville team's good. They're young, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and right now they're in the part of the schedule where they can take out some frustration on people.
Let's say the same thing about East Robertson, 50-21 winners at Houston County. I mean, the Indians are 2-0, but as we know, they're dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, Casey Young went off in this game. He was 13-19, 212, 3 touchdowns, and then he had a rushing touchdown. But probably the story is, they lost Isaiah Groves last week. They have popped another Groves in there. Zach Groves this time, 3 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown, a 35-yard scoop and score, a 2-point conversion, and 5 tackles for loss, and a partridge in a pear tree.
I'll take credit for that one, Chase. Coach Brooks, I'll take credit for that one.
I'm thinking there's probably another Groves in a glass case somewhere to break in case of emergency. There probably is another one because, the way that family has not only produced players, but good players has been outstanding. And, Zach Groves with another big night for East Robertson.
Yeah.
Going to be a big role for him going forward. Ensworth 35, NBA 14. Revenge game for Ensworth for the quarterfinal loss last year.
Yeah. One Ethan Utley told me this was going to be ugly. He was not wrong. Ensworth jumps out to a 28-0 lead. NBA gets a couple scores, but then Ensworth closes it out late. Tigers are really good, and especially when their offense is humming like it was last night, they're going to be tough to beat this year.
Hasselbeck era has arrived, and I'm talking about Taylor Hasselbeck, the quarterback. The young quarterback only missed on 1 throw. They were able to run for 3, and then Bishop Starling with a pick 6. So, as Joe said, it appears that they're running on all cylinders to put this kind of score on NBA, which is not a bad team.
Yeah. So we were talking before this season started about if there was any national area contender in D2 AAA. Did we just find it in Ensworth?
Yeah.
I think it's very possible. Yeah.
Clarksville Academy, a winner over Ezel Harding, 30-13 for the Cougars to get win number 1 on the year. Ezel Harding drops to 1-1. FRA 2-0, 27-7 winners over Franklin. A game that we thought would be close, wasn't.
Yeah, FRA said, yeah, we lost some guys, but we're a lot more than just those guys we lost. Really impressive performance by FRA.
Yeah, Mike Castle 4 scores on the night, 3 rushing, 121 yards, caught a pass. They outscored outrushed the Admirals. Outgained the Admirals 386-100. They held Franklin to 1 of 10 on third downs and only 9 rushing yards. Gavin Gadsey, the linebacker, also had 3 sacks for FRA.
What a name!
Dominant performance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gordonsville wins 26-19 at Watertown, and another revenge game for them. They lost this one to Watertown last year.
Yeah. No, a really, really impressive performance by the Tigers over the Purple Tigers here. Bryson Grisham, 246 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night. I think Gordonsville ran for close to 300 yards. So, I mean, this was a game that Watertown dominated last year, and Gordonsville kicking off the year with a couple of revenge wins, as kind of like Antioch, a couple of revenge wins from last year.
Yeah, and we talk about contenders. I mean, Gordonsville's going to be a player in 1A.
Yep.
They got their quarterback back last night, right?
Yeah, but I still don't think he's 100%.
Yeah, run a game like that. Maybe it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
So the regular Tigers get the win and go to 2-0. The Purple Tigers fall to 0-2. Green Hills 2-0. They had no trouble. The West Creek 44-0 on the road last night.
No, Aaron Mattingly, return game, couple of touchdowns, really looked good. Green Hill, I mean, they're going to be a force offensively this year, and they have a really good chance to put up some more numbers next week against Summit. Little plug. Episode 1 of Climbing the Hill out now. We'll have episode 2 out here in a couple weeks, but go and give that a watch if you haven't already.
Yep.
Portland 2-0 with a 55-8 win over Greenbrier at home.
Yeah, Panthers had a slow start last week against White House, and it was not a slow start this week.
No.
Defensively, Gentry House had a scoop and score, and Ben Bradley had a pick 6. I mean, it was just defensively and offensively, Portland just had an all-around great game. And Greenbrier, with so many losses last year, they're rebuilding, and it's these are the kind of scores that are going to happen when you're rebuilding a program.
Keelan Dalton, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown, and a pick 6 for the Panthers. They got talent aplenty there. It's just a matter of utilizing it.
Wow.
Greenbrier falls to 0-2 with that loss on the road. Harpeth 28-0 winners over Cheatham County. This game is actually at Harpeth, as Cheatham County is going to be on the road all season. So the Cubs now 0-2, and the Indians go to 1-1 with that win.
Yeah.
Hendersonville, a road win at Northeast 42-13. Commandos no trouble there, going to 2-0.
Yeah, good night for the Jordan twins. 116 yards for Cooper and a score, and Riley caught 3 passes for 2 scores.
Riverdale's defense looked impressive. 34-12 winners over Henry County.
Yeah, they bounced back in a big way after struggling against Smyrna last week, and they really shut down a good Henry County team. Riverdale's legit, and the Warriors know how to play ball.
Yeah, I think this win, we kind of still were leaning Riverdale as the 2 there in that region, but I think this is the type of win though that I think they're firmly in the 2, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that Blackman game's going to be interesting though, because Blackman, as we'll see coming up, may have made a statement.
Yeah, that defense was impressive last night.
Speaking of defense, Page didn't give up another point again. They went 31-0 over Indy. This was a triple overtime game that they lost last year. No such luck this time for Independence.
We tried to tell you, folks. We tried to tell you.
we were talking before the show, and I mean, we'll leave it up to you guys. When does Page give up their defense give up a touchdown this year? I mean, they got Franklin this week. You could potentially see it there, but after that, I mean, their schedule is favorable. William Bush had himself a night, 2 rushing touchdowns and a pick 6.
Maybe we need to start a poll, Chris, on social media. When does Page allow points? This week, next week, never. Right?
I guarantee. I guarantee you, Coach Rathbone is sitting there going, "Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby."
They're going to call rat poison. They're going to be so mad once somebody scores points against them. That's going to be unreal.
This was a 0-0 game after the first quarter, and then they just exploded in the second quarter. I mean, they're good.
There's one answer you can put on that poll. Never.
Never.
Guys, look at this. I mean, the last 2 games were teams they beat in multiple overtime games last year, and they shut them both out. And if you watch the deep dive with me and Kevin earlier this week, Kevin, I mean, we were off the video talking. He's like, they could have run up the score on Giles County. He's like, they were dominating that badly. They're good. They're really good. And Christian, you and I have said this. They remind us of Pearl Cone last year.
Yeah, for sure.
They have purpose. I mean, they are playing with purpose and anger, and that will drive you.
And with the talent they have, it's a pretty good formula. We know the Bishop's Cup is always a fun rivalry, and Father Ryan takes this chapter of it 27-21. And JP2 made a big comeback in this game. They got down a little early.
It was 27-7 going into the fourth quarter, and Hudson Holman led a couple of really nice touchdown drives for JP2. They're just not quite there yet. Holman's only a sophomore. They'll get this turned around. Really good win for Father Ryan to go to 1-1 on the year, or 2-0 on the year. Are they not? They won week 1.
Yeah, they're
2-0.
Okay.
They're 2-0. My mistake.
You're good. JP2 back-to-back close losses that last year were blowout losses. So I think you see the improvement, but they're just not quite there yet.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about this being a battle of young quarterbacks. Joseph Derrick had a big night, 3 touchdowns, all to Mason Bryant.
Yep. Kirkwood's also 2-0. They win 35-7 to Montgomery Central.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Miles Redding for nearly 300 yards and 5 touchdowns last night.
Yeah, that region up there in Clarksville is going to be interesting once we get later in the season.
Yep.
Kirkwood started off the year hot last year, and then they kind of settled down once they played the likes of Rossview and Clarksville. Chris, you and I saw this Kirkwood team scrimmage Green Hill earlier in the year, and they look the part. They look the part, and they got a really good coach there.
There may not be a settling down with this team this year. They're going to be a player in this region, I believe, before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Creekwood gets a 17-6 win over Lewis County. The Redhawks are 2-0.
Yeah, big win. Lewis County, a team that's notorious for scoring a lot of points in that wishbone type offense that they run. Good win for the Redhawks.
Yep.
Davidson Academy, 34-27 winners over Lincoln County, and they get into the win column for the first time.
This was a crazy game. It just seemed like Chris, you and I are on the sideline last night, and every time I'm looking at my phone, there's some sort of touchdown happening, some sort of big play happening. Davidson Academy gets the win in the end. They found a way to win. Lincoln County is not a bad team, but that's a good win for the Bears.
Yeah, what's got to be concerning for Davidson Academy is that they allowed 364 yards rushing to Lincoln County, and that they've got to fix that defense. It was a late Keyshawn Barksdale pass to Wes Harper with under 5 minutes to seal it, but Davidson Academy's got the weapons. The defense is the question right now, I think.
When you struggle rushing and you got Portland next week, that's all they're really going to do. That could be an interesting one.
Rossview 31-0 over Logan County, Kentucky. The Hawks now 2-0.
Yeah, Rossview found its offense in this one.
Yeah, this is their best start since 2015. They continued their shutout streak. They sacked the quarterback 5 times, picked him off 4, allowed him only to cross midfield once.
This was another one of those teams that last year their defense was really a difference maker, and I mean, another shutout for them. Yeah. One of those teams we'll talk about in that Montgomery County region for a while.
Yeah.
Mount Juliet Christian 62-0 over Lookout Valley. The Saints again for the second year in a row are 2-0.
Yeah, how about those Saints? It's so refreshing to see, them on this side of that scoreboard instead of 10 years ago. It would have been the other way around. So it's a kudos to what they're doing over at MJCA.
Yep. They're beating bad teams, which is if you're a good team, that's what you're supposed to do.
Hezekiah Amick returned a kickoff, returned a punt, and accounted for 2 more scores. Big night for him. But, as Joe said, good teams win in this type of fashion. We'll see if they can keep it going.
All right, Cam, question for you, and I'm not trying to rub it in. I believe this is the 3rd straight year that this score was this way, correct?
Yep.
42-0 Macon over Trout. So this was the halftime score, and the second half, Macon County said, we're done.
I'm fairly confident, like in the 90% confidence. This is the first time in the series Macon County's won 3 in a row.
Let me ask you this,
Yeah.
Cam. Is this the first time that the Yellow Jackets have been held to negative yards, total yards?
It's a very good chance of that.
Because Macon County held them to negative 18 yards rushing and only 3 yards passing.
You know, it is what it is. I think Coach Greger would tell you that at Rousey County. They're extremely young. They're undersized. Macon County's a darn good football team, and they've, as he said on Thursday night on the pregame show that they do, Macon County's big. They're fast. They've played a lot of football. They started when they were freshmen, sophomores. One day we'll be there, and that's sort of the boat that you're in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's understandable as young as they are. We are just going to rub it in on you just a little bit. This is nothing about the team. This is all about you.
Yeah, Chris is way too professional. Congratulations to Macon County for upsetting Cam. It makes my day. No, this is a good win for the Tigers, and they could have run up the score and didn't because they're a respectable team. But on a more important note, Chris Brooks is 3-0 against Cam the last couple of years, and that's really all that matters if we're being honest.
Well,
I'm sorry, Cam, but you did it to yourself.
What's that trophy case look like, Chris?
we're not talking about that. We're talking about this. This is 2024, brother.
You cannot live in the
No.
past.
The thing is that it's very true with Trousdale's history that
Yeah.
in 3 years, Cam may have the last laugh.
But he does it
And
right
there's
now.
there's an outside shot. If anybody knows Rousey County, there's an outside shot that they won't take it easy.
Oh no, they won't. They won't expect them to. I hope they wouldn't. You know, that's what that rivalry's supposed to be. Spoiler alert: there might be more on this later on this season.
Very well could be.
Macon County, a big one next week. They're at Upperman for the region opener, and a massive game as far as a 4A talk is concerned for them. Mount Juliet, a 45-14 winner at Hunters Lane. Golden Bears are 2-0.
Yeah, they're taking care of business like they should be. Tyler Travers a good night. John Michael Crudup a good night. Mount Juliet and Green Hill just putting up a ton of points, boys.
Collision course.
Yeah,
Trick or
Brooklyn
treat.
Vision, another pick six.
We're sitting here on August 31st, and October 31st could be a really fun night.
Mount Juliet right now kind of looking like the favorite in this region. Hunters Lane, though, this is a game maybe last year they don't score in. They're showing improvements, but Mount Juliet, they're really good. There's a reason we have them ranked. That's a really good team.
Then they get into region play next week, and we'll see about it.
Yep.
Nashville Christian matched BGA's total last night, 69-0 over Innovation Academy, and those two teams now on a collision course to meet next week.
Yeah, I think this
Have
was
fun.
55-0 at the half. Nashville Christian can score a lot of points. Jared Curtis, good at the game of football. No matter how many people want to hate him because he's a 5-star quarterback, he's good at the game of football. Next week, we're hyping it up so much. Watch it be a 21-14 game. It'll be
So it's very liable that happens. So Nashville Christian's defense is very much improved over last season.
Yep.
But I still think the winner of that game next week scores 40.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree.
We will certainly see about that because it is our spotlight game for week number 3. Just want to throw that out there. Nashville Christian and BGA. We'll be down there in Franklin next Friday night for that one. That ought to be a fun one.
I love the fact that you look at it and you go, well, Jared Curtis only completed 6 passes. Well, 4 of them were for touchdowns. So
Absurd.
We call that
efficiency. Yeah.
Innovation Academy is a newer school around here. Their first year playing 11-man football. These are the kind of lumps you take before you eventually really get going. It's simple as that.
Yep.
I mean, they're not going to face a 5-star quarterback every single week.
No, I mean,
But they will get. I do think they get George McIntyre later this year too. I think
so. They get another really good quarterback later.
Yeah. But I mean, but kudos for them for at least taking on these teams. I mean, they're going to get better because of that, even though these scores don't show it.
Yeah.
Well, it shows you, especially when you're playing a private school, it shows you the roadmap of the way you want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, you're right. Taking your lumps is part of it.
Everything's bigger in Texas, including the upsets. Oakland pulled one off last night, 52-48 over the defending state champs at Anna. And, a lot of us are eating crow for that because we pretty much picked the Coyotes in this one.
May I
Yeah, I'll
have
be
some
the
more,
first.
please?
Yeah, no kidding.
This game really showed the coaching ability of Kevin Creasy. Down 28-13 at the half, and they were getting gashed. He makes his adjustments, and they end up going 39-20 in the second half. And what really keyed that was he changed to a wildcat offense with TT Hill behind in the shotgun, and TT Hill went off. Patriots had two 200-yard rushers in this game. TT Hill went off, and so did Craig Tutt. It was an amazing second half of football to watch.
Reports
This
of
answers
Oakland's
our
demand.
questions.
Yeah.
This answers our questions about Oakland for sure.
Yeah.
They have had some linemen to replace, and guys, without DeJuan Morris here, that's all that needs to be said. Okay.
Yeah.
Without their best player, they went to Texas and beat the 5A state champion.
Yep. I mean, TT coming back to Oakland was just such a blessing. I mean, with DeJuan going down, he comes back, fills that role, and man, they don't miss a beat. They just don't miss a beat.
Reports of Oakland's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Does this win re-cement them as the favorite in 6A?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. There are three really good 6A teams in my opinion. It's a good win. We'll see how it goes. Look. I mean, it's a good win. I'm sticking with.
They're still the favorite.
Okay.
We're not saying that they are, going to run away with it. Are they the favorite?
I just want us to get what we all want. I want Oakland and Ravenwood for the 6A state championship.
That'd be really good for us. We win either way.
That's right. Which is all about us.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Overton, congratulations to the Bobcats, 29-13 winners over Hillsboro.
Yeah, none of us picked Overton in this. We're not gonna lie. Overton's a team that's really struggled since last year, but this is the type of win that gets your program going on the right track. In Hillsboro, it's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
So really Overton actually just got in a transfer quarterback.
From Knoxville.
So I'm not sure if he played in this game or not, but if he did, could be a more entertaining year for the Bobcats.
Cannon County gets a 19-13 win over Providence Christian, and the Lions got a much-needed first win of the year.
Which Lions? No, Cannon County. This was a close game last year, I believe, too. So good win for Cannon County.
Yeah.
PCA gives Mount Juliet Christian its first real test next week, so that'll be a fun one.
Now, we talk about Ravenwood is still one of those teams to beat in 6A. I mean, they keep chugging along 48-0 over Cane Ridge.
There ain't a hole on this team.
No.
There's not a hole on this team.
It's just another defensive gem. Jaden Smitherman had a pick six, blocked a punt. Probably parked cars in the parking lots, took tickets. As Joe said, these guys can do. There's difficult to find a flaw in this particular team.
We certainly look forward to Week 10 with that game at Oakland and what kind of crowd that could potentially be.
Oh my God!
If these two teams get there 9-0 or 8-0, actually, when they play, look out.
Yeah.
Red Bowling Springs won last week. They did not win this week. They fall 48-22 at Midway. Going east wasn't a great thing for the Bulldogs.
No. Nope.
We got this score this morning, about 20 minutes until showtime. Glencliff did win over Republic 41-6, so the Colts getting into the W column for the first time this year.
Yeah, that's a team that has a bright future. I like their coaching staff quite a bit. I really like their head coach. I talked to him at Nashville Media Days, and he's got the right mindset for this. And so big blowout win for Glencliff. We'll see how many more they get this year.
Siegel over Laverne 28-22. They're actually 1-1, not 2-0. Laverne falls to 0-2 with that loss. Stars, though, a big win there for them. They need that going into region play.
Yeah, they had that heartbreaker week 1 at Shelbyville. So to get some adversity in this game, I think they were up pretty big early on. Laverne clawed their way back. Good win for Siegel.
Yeah, just too much Braylon LB. He had 124 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Good Pasture falls to Silverdale 40-21. The Cougars now drop to 0-2 with that loss.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I originally picked Good Pasture and then switched it at the last minute. I just thought Silverdale. This was a close game last year, and then Silverdale, I believe, is better this year. So Good Pasture still trying to find its way. Silverdale much better in my opinion.
Rockville 31-14 winners over Smyrna. They bounce back from that week 1 loss and get into the win column.
Yeah, Smyrna jumped out to a lead in this one. Then Rockville just was like, all right, we're going to take this over. Huge win for the Rockets. I did not see this one coming.
Big night for Creighton Carver. He returned a kick for 98 yards. He added 4 catches. He had 3 tackles and an interception. He was just all over the field in this one. And huge night for the Rockets.
Gallatin bounces back in a big way. 42-28 winners over Station Camp in the Mayor's Cup game.
Yeah, there's that Gallatin offense that we knew we would see at some point here in 2024. This is why Gallatin's such an intriguing team. The ability to put up this amount of points on a good Station Camp defense, especially up front on Station Camp's defense. But giving up 28, I still think, Joe said it earlier, I think Majula is the most complete team in that region. It's just a matter of that region is so tight, anybody can win any Friday.
Yep.
Jackson Strip will be the first to tell you last week he did not play well. He was not comfortable at all. This week he gets 5 scores. He rushed for 2 and threw for 3 more. Jeremiah Williams had 139 catches and yards, and two touchdowns. I think Stroop ran the ball a lot more in this game, which I think generally makes the quarterback more comfortable. And, I think it was a really good win for Gallatin in the Mayor's Cup.
Station Camp falls to 1-1 with that loss as they'll head to region play starting next week.
0-2 Station Camp, yeah.
0-2 Station Camp.
Yeah.
I
They
fired
lost
the
to
quality control
Right,
guy.
Yeah, right.
I fired the quality control guy.
Yeah.
He has been sacked.
Blackman 42, Stewart's Creek 35. We talked about Blackman potentially now. Blackman's an improved team. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, Stewart's Creek actually led by quite a bit in this one. Then Blackman just took over. They got a score late. This was a heck of a ball game between, again, Chris, you and I talked about this last night. The Stewart's Creek team is underrated. Blackman probably should have beat Brentwood week 1. They did not. So, again, they're much more improved.
Yeah, Stewart's Creek lost this game, but I mean, we talk about their region with Antioch. I mean, you would think Antioch, Stewart's Creek maybe 1-2 at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think if Blackman holds on and beats Brentwood in week 1, we're probably talking Blackman maybe right there. I mean, they're already in the conversation, but they're probably level with Riverdale as the 2 in that region if they weren't able to beat Brentwood last week.
Well, it was all about the third quarter. It was 28-point third quarter for them. They blocked 2 punts and had an interception that put them up and put them up by 20 actually, and before the Redhawks came back. So Blackman's defense stood up strong in the second half.
McGavick 34, Stratford 14. Big win for the Raiders.
How about those Raiders?
Goodness. Yeah, not what I expected when I looked up scores last night because, wow. This one's a shocker. With how big of a win it is, though. I mean, if McGavick won and it was like a touchdown game, I would have been like, nah, I get it. Sure. 20 points? So, wow.
Yeah, impressive win for McGavick. And they're 1-1. They got a close loss to Hillsboro last week, and they get in the win column at this one. This one wasn't close, and quite surprising, too. Centennial 42, Summit 7.
Centennial jumps out to a 35-point halftime lead, and they just they took out some frustration on Summit after last week. I think Tyson Moody may have played for Centennial last night with how upset he was about that Franklin game. But yeah, no, big win for Centennial.
Yeah. Yeah. That was yeah. I did not expect I went back and forth on this game because I thought it'd be close. I thought it would be much closer than it was. But Centennial's defense shutting down that Summit rushing attack, that's just something else.
Sycamore knocks off Lawson 35-14. They get some revenge for a loss they took last year.
Yeah, Sycamore opens up the year with the blowout loss and then comes back and beats up on a pretty all right Lawson team. Kind of was shocked by this score too, by how lopsided it was.
Yep.
Yeah, last year this game was 7-2. It tells you anything.
Middle Tennessee Christian falls to 0-2. They fall to Florida's the Masters Academy 42-0. Tough start for the Cougars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not unexpected though. I mean, MTCS just lost so much from that team last year.
It was just a rough night. Yeah, they were outgained. I think they averaged like 3.3 yards per play. Masters Academy was like 14.7. Perfect 4-4 on third down and 3 of 3 in the red zone, despite only having 10 minutes of possession time. So I mean, this is what happens when you have a young team.
Grace Christian didn't play last week. They opened the season with a 49-7 loss at home to Trinity Christian.
Yeah, I'll be honest, guys. When I saw some of you pick GCA in this, I was kind of shocked. TCA is offensively loaded. They got a lot of really good players. Defensively, I was wondering what they had. TCA is one of those teams that could come out of the West and make some noise. Just a rough night for GCA against a pretty good team.
Yeah, I picked GCA in this matchup, and I was on the fence on it. I did not expect a blowout win either way.
I picked TCA, but I was like, that's not going to be a good one.
I'd like to know how many of the private schools are named Lions.
There are a few.
We'll do a story on that.
There are a few. We'll do the research for that one. Upperman 41, Lebanon 14. Blue Devils 0-2 after that loss.
Bronston Chaffin.
184 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, 146 yards rushing, and 2 more.
And
Guys,
a D1 scholarship offer from Eastern Kentucky.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know if we talked about him or not. Is he a Mr. Football candidate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They're a state favorite, in my opinion, right now.
You think so?
Yes, not even.
Yeah, I think 4A is probably the tightest as far as when we talk about favorites. They have the most teams, 4A does. But Upperman, I mean, they got to be there, right?
Yes.
They were runner-up last year, and they're 2-0 this year and looking really good. So,
So what you're saying is next week's game
it's
is
massive.
a region title match.
It's 100%.
Yeah. Fairview 41, Waverly 12. The Yellow Jackets bounced back from an unfortunate loss last week to get in the win column.
Yeah, but what we've learned is East Hickman is not a bad team.
They're not.
Good win for Fairview.
Go in just a second.
Good win for Fairview. I still think they've finished very high in this region, still potentially win it. Last year, they got blown out in this game against Waverly. So they're showing strides. They just took a tough week 1 loss and turned it on Waverly, who's in a bit of a rebuild at this moment.
Guys, they did this without their starting quarterback. Jackson Coy did not play. Their backup, John Barrett, did, and they still scored 28 in the first quarter. Just a good night for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. Speaking of good nights, a great bounce back for White House, 34-15 over Liberty Creek.
Yeah, got down 6-0 really early. I think on like the first drive, and I already had my head scratching like, what in the world's going on with White House? And then they decided to hand the ball to I can't pronounce his last name, Albion, I think, or something like
Michael
that.
Albin.
Yeah. And he was the kid that had 150 yards on Portland last week, so maybe they should give him the ball some more.
Yeah, Cam, you and I saw last week just how good this White House team could be, and they're talented. So I'm in agreement. I saw that game early on. I was like, what the heck? And then I saw the end. I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
One thing that I take away from this week is the importance of of special teams. And White House took advantage of Liberty Creek errors. They returned a kickoff or score, and they turned a block kick into points. Albin actually blocked that kick and set up his own touchdown. And then they got a pick from Wrecker Sample to set up another. Mistakes by Liberty Creek just cost them. White House took advantage of it.
Yeah. We talked about East Hickman, 46-33 winners over White House Heritage. So they've beaten kind of the top two teams in that particular region with Heritage and Fairview in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
And they've done so in very similar fashion. I think last week it was 41-35.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The Patriots wasted a good night from Xavier Murray, 403 yards passing. But, yeah, as Joe said earlier, we just found out how good this East Hickman team is.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the favorite in that region, I would think, too, alongside the Roto.
And our final score to note this week is Wilson Central 33, Northwest nothing. So the Wildcats get the W for the first time this year.
Yes,
good rebound.
Good rebound, good shutout win to get in the win column. They'll need that, especially once you get into region play. You need that confidence.
We said earlier, this Wilson Central team, not quite there, but I think that they're going to upset somebody fairly decent this year. I think don't be surprised if you don't see them win a game you don't expect.
Well, we only had highlights from 3 games today, so we're not going to make y'all listen to us blab for the full hour. So we're going to cut this a little bit short and get out of here. But before we do, final thoughts on week 2 and get ready for week 3, guys.
Yeah, it was a weird week, man. It was a lot of weird scores. But yeah, no, a good week overall. We're starting to get a better idea on what some of these teams look like. Week 1 and week 2 are kind of the guessing weeks, right? I think now we've really settled into a groove on our picks. We're getting a better idea on what some of these teams look like, and decided to get week 3 going. I just need a couple days of rest.
Yeah, I mean, more of the same from week 1. There was a couple of head scratchers. We're still figuring things out. Teams are still figuring things out. Some of the teams that you have been accustomed to being really, really good or not so good right now at the moment, and some teams that are used to being down are having good starts to the season. So it's going to be interesting to see where the season takes us. But, man, it's Saturday, and we got college football. So I am fired up, and I have to do the first one of the year. Go Vols.
There you go. Wouldn't be a scoreboard show without it.
I do need y'all to keep me in your thoughts because Notre Dame plays Texas A&M tonight, and I'm not okay.
They better win.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris, you and I interviewed a coach not long ago that talked about the season in cycles. And what the first part of your season is learning about your team. And the middle rounds you need to win, but it's all about growth paying off at you play. I want to say it's Paul Wade when we did the coaches in Q.
Yep.
So what we're seeing here is exactly what he talked about in that the first few games of the season are the learning experiences where you get the kinks worked out. You get your picks worked out. But you really learn about your team. And now you've got those two out of the way. You kind of forget about it because region schedules are coming and region games when they really, really matter. And you're going to have your ups and downs here, but the end goal is to be at your best at the end. So your 3 progressions, as far as Paul Wade, the way he perceives it, I think it's what we're seeing right now is, all right, so you got beat badly in a non-region game. Now is really when it matters.
Yeah, and so it's funny that you mentioned that on the heels of that win for BA because, what we talked about earlier about BA was the need for improvement in certain areas, and we've seen it over 2 weeks. And now that next step has to take place because they're getting into region play against teams that are going to be unrelenting the rest of the way against them. So, certainly a big win for BA and big wins for a lot of teams in week 2. So, fun show. on show.
Yeah.
But we're going to call it quits for the weekend and a long holiday weekend, folks. I hope you enjoy it. Get some rest, and we'll see you back here Wednesday at 7 o'clock for 615 Preps Live and get you ready for week 3 where region play fires up in earnest. So for Scott, Joe, Cam, and everybody else who's not on this show, I'm Chris. Go enjoy some college football today, and we'll see you soon.
Be
Go
safe.
Irish.